All right then. Welcome to our weekly Zoom learning forum. Hopefully, as I've said to you, that you've watched Jem's welcome video to give you a bit of context for this particular session. And tomorrow we have our internal seminar. So you'll need to watch that. Normally I will have that uploaded by Thursday lunchtime, sometimes earlier. So you need to watch the recording of the seminar as part of your learning for each week for all of our external students. So we have 18 participants online, and we, of course, will have many students that will be watching the recording rather than coming online. Don't be frightened to come online. As I said to some of our students earlier, studying externally can be a little bit lonely. So even if you can't come every week, it's really wonderful to come and join us every now and then. So if you could all have your mics muted just at the moment, so we don't get any background noise, especially in terms of our recording for those of you watching in your own time. So mics
Sorry,
muted. Oh,
sorry, just before you continue, I've got one
mhm.
question on I've been looking at Blackboard and things.
Who am I speaking to?
Oh, sorry, Sharon Rossi.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi. I've just it's my first time in uni and I'm doing it online too, so it's a bit overwhelming. Just trying to figure it all out on my own. I found a section where the seminars you're talking about, I was actually going to ask that question. So the one that's due, for instance, the 26th of February, 8 a.m. to 8:50, are they the ones you're talking about we watch
That
as
is.
well?
So that's called our seminar, and we have
Uh-huh.
that once a week on campus, face to face, and
Mm-hmm.
it will be recorded virtually. So
And available.
you
Yeah.
can actually log in and listen to it and be there live, or you can listen to the recording in your own time. So that's
Okay,
a
great.
really good question. Yeah.
Okay, great.
So
Thank you.
yeah, my pleasure. Okay, so my name is Ange, and I am going to be your tutor for the next 13 weeks. And I've been at QUT, just to get a bit of background so you know who I am, for the last 12 years. I've been teaching and researching in the area of teacher professional identity. So I completed my PhD in 2014, looking specifically at graduate teacher perceptions of their professional identity, so as they moved into professional practice. So prior to my work at QUT, I was an early childhood teacher and also a primary teacher. And prior to that, I worked in the film industry and publishing. So I am showing my age a little bit. I have been around for a bit and have had a few careers prior to teaching, which I'm sure some of you may be in a similar situation, that you have decided to teach after working in other areas. So my research on professional identity has also led me to facilitate workshops as part of a QUT group, facilitating workshops, training mentors, so trained teachers, to mentor beginning teachers in their first year of work for the education department. So when you graduate and you get a job, if it's with the Queensland Education Department, you're going to be assigned a mentor, someone to see you through, to support you through those first 12 months of your teaching career. So that's a wonderful thing. We've trained over 3,000 mentors to do that. So it's a really important area, and my research identified that this support from a mentor in that first year is really important, and it helps in terms of retention of our beginning teachers as well, because as you'd imagine, that first year can be quite stressful, and being having someone to support you and being in a community of learning and practice with your colleagues can make all the difference. So my personal beliefs about teaching and learning, and I want you to remember this because we're going to refer to it again a little bit later in the Zoom. My beliefs are centered around the development of strong and trusting relationships with a focus on differentiating, so focusing on individual students, so differentiating for their interests, their needs, and also their strengths. And I am also an advocate for communities of practice. So, teaching and working in a learning community where colleagues, parents, students, and children work together to support children and students' learning outcomes. So, that's a bit about me. But this particular unit is all about understanding and developing your beliefs, so your professional teaching statement. So we're going to start. This week is about teacher as learner specifically. So before we go on, I just want to have a chat with you about some expectations and etiquette for our Zoom session. So you can see up there are some important points: respectful participation, and this also involves when I do release you into breakout groups that you participate, that you are respectful for people's points of view. And also, as I've already said, is that you might mute your mic when you're not speaking, just so we don't get that feedback and background noise. Something that's really important is because this is being recorded, you can't disclose any personal names or organisations when you're sharing stories. So no names of schools that you've worked with or naming people that you've worked with that you're talking about as well. So we really need to make sure we maintain that confidentiality. So in terms of communication with me, email is the best way to go. I will definitely respond to emails well within 24 hours, but that's Monday to Friday. I would very rarely respond on weekends because generally I am very busy hiking. I'm a very keen hiker, and it's a really good way to de-stress. And I think if there's one piece of advice that I can give you, is that moving into teaching, you really need to have an interest, something that you love to do outside of teaching. So you need to have a balance. And this can start now as a student. It's very important that you work on that work-life balance. And we're going to talk a lot about resilience in this unit as well. So it's something that it's very, very important. If you want to have a career in the teaching profession, you really need to think about how you're going to look after yourself. Okay. Finally, if you have any questions about learning that we've experienced, that we've talked about during the sessions, or about your assessment tasks, please don't hesitate to contact me. No question is silly or stupid. Every question is valid. So it's important that you contact me straight away. All right, so first task, I asked you to bring a sheet of paper, A4 sheet of paper. If you could pull that out. So on Blackboard in the external folder, you would have, for those of you that have just come on board now, there would have been instructions, so to bring a piece of paper, for example, and there's also links to the 3 clips that we're going to watch tonight. So you will need to access those clips in the external folder on Blackboard, and we'll be doing that in a little while. Okay, so first task, I want you to basically make a book with your piece of paper. I want you to fold it in half and write your name on the front. That's the first task for the evening. Not a very difficult one, although it would be difficult if you don't have a piece of paper. and a pen. First task for the evening, that's what we're going to do. Everyone good with that? Yeah, I can see people. Someone's got their microphone on, so if you could mute that, that would be wonderful. We've got lots of people that either have their cameras turned off or they don't have one. Really important if you're going to be an external student and participate in Zooms that you have access to a webcam. So for next time, if you could see if you can organise one, that would be wonderful. And also, yes? Someone asking a question? Nope. Okay. And a reminder as well for those that have just come on, we've got the chat group as well. If you do want to type something, a message, if you're a little bit too shy to speak, you're welcome to do that. You can do it privately or you can do it to everyone. You'll see the function there for private or to everyone. Okay, so you were asked to introduce yourself on our Padlet in the external folder, and lots of you have done that. Thank you very much. To ask to share which cohort that you're from, so early childhood, primary or secondary, and why you actually decided to become a teacher. So if you haven't done that yet, I'd like you to do it and to go through and read all of the wonderful comments that people have shared. It's a really nice way of getting to know each other, which can be a little bit difficult on online platforms, and I will be using lots of strategies and tricks over the next 13 weeks to try and facilitate that sharing of perspectives and ideas. And your microphone is a good way of doing that. But most importantly, I think you need to attend the Zoom sessions to make sure that you can get involved in the discussion. Any questions? Nope, all good? All right. So the activity that we did, so the Padlet, it was designed to create opportunities for you to note and discuss some of the teacher decisions that are made in this particular activity, is designed for you to note some of the teacher decisions that were made in planning and also implementing a task, and also the reasons behind why they were made, and different possibilities and perspectives about the task, and also possibly some challenges as well, which there certainly can be with online learning. So we're going to use the think, share, pair strategy, and I'm going to divide you into your first breakout groups. So we have 22 participants. So what I'm going to do is divide you into groups, and what I want you to do is to respond to those points on the slide. And the final one is, how do these decisions link to my philosophy, my beliefs about practice? So don't be shy. I really want you to share and to discuss those particular questions. Sorry, I'm really having trouble with my mouse tonight, which is, here we go. All right, breakout rooms. Oh, someone has just dropped off because they've suddenly realized, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to talk to someone. I'm out of here. So no one else, please stay online. This will be a fun activity. You're going to actually get to talk to your first fellow Bachelor of Education person. So I'm going to create the rooms. So I want you to respond to those particular questions. I'll bring that slide back up for you in a moment. Okay, so we've got odd groups. So there will be someone left over and you can have a chat to me. It's all very random, so we don't know who that's going to be. It's a bit exciting, isn't it? Are you all excited? Oh yeah, I can see the looks on your faces. You are excited. Okay, here I go, creating random chat rooms. So I think everyone's been put into a room. We've got no one left. Okay, so for those of you at home that are listening to the recording, everyone has gone into a chat room. So this is where I pause the recording while everyone is speaking. So if you do want to come and join, this is the kind of thing that we'll actually be participating in. So I'm going to pause the recording and we'll see you again soon.
The questions that were uploaded on the PowerPoint attached to Blackboard, they're totally different questions.
Yep, that's right. Because that is the internal PowerPoint. Oh, were you looking at the external one?
Possibly.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay. So were you able to see the slide when you were in your breakout groups? No.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Well, that's a bit of a pain, isn't it? Okay, well, welcome back to those people who were in the breakout groups. But so you've probably hopefully had the opportunity to meet someone and to have a chat to them, possibly about this particular tool, the Padlet. I had a chat to someone, and who would like to share? What did you learn from each other using the Padlet? Frank?
I think we learned that we all, I guess, come from different backgrounds. You know, some of us have been working in the private sector. Other people have been working in early childhood education and, you know, different age groups. So we've all been doing our own thing.
Yeah. So it's a good tool. It's enables you to, you know, I guess the aim for that activity was for you to get to know different people, even though it's not in person. You were still able to actually find out that there are other people with in a similar situation to you. What about the think, pair, share strategy? This is a strategy that is really good. I like to call it think, prepare, share as well, because it's a strategy where students who generally don't want to share with a wider group, they're a little bit shy, it gives them the opportunity to talk with just one-on-one with someone and discuss a particular perspective or topic, and then to be able to be more comfortable talking in a group. What do you think of the think, pair, share strategy? Anyone like to comment?
Is this actually a similar strategy they would have used for us on orientation week?
Possibly, yeah.
So when they were getting us, like after a bit of talking, they would say, okay, now talk to the person beside you.
Yeah, very similar strategy, yeah. And it's a wonderful strategy to use across early childhood, primary and secondary as well. And of course, in university, I use it all the time. So thinking about, for those of you who were online when I was talking about my philosophy, my beliefs about teaching, how do you think those beliefs actually link to some of the decisions that I made about developing that Padlet for use in this Zoom session? So if you remember, I was very focused on communities of practice, so people working together and collaborating. And I was also, my beliefs are very much based on differentiating for individual students, so their interests, their needs and their strengths. So how would using a Padlet facilitate that?
I think you're in a way creating a community, especially for us learning externally. It's good to build that rapport with each other.
That's important. Yeah. So these decisions that I made linked directly to my teaching beliefs. And this is what's going to happen with you as well. Those beliefs that you're gradually developing, it's going to influence your approaches and your practices to the decisions that you make about teaching and individual students learning. Okay, so In this next activity, I'm going to present you with the 3 stimuli that are on Blackboard. So you'll need to access the Blackboard site and go into the external folder, and you will see there are 3, there's 2 clips and an MP3 that you should just be able to click on and watch when I give you the signal to do so. But what I'm going to do is ask you, in your book that you've made with your A4 piece of paper, so I ask you to bring for those of you who have just joined us, an A4 piece of paper folded in half, put your name on the front like a book, and then now I want you to open it up. And what we're going to do is create a mind map. And we're going to visually map the characteristics of a teacher as learner. So we're going to look at some different representations, and I want you to use that mind map as a graphic organizer. So you can see that on the slide. What I'm going to do is, after you have watched the first clip, I want you to take some notes. You might want to watch it twice. So I'll give you a little bit of time to do that. But I want you to watch the first clip, and I'll show you. Sorry. Sorry about that. Okay, so the mind map is going to look a bit like this. So what I'd like you to do is, first up, I want you to go and watch the first clip. So the first clip is the Teacher of the Year in Nevada. Her name is Pilar Bila. So I'm going to pause the recording while you access the link and watch it. So watch it twice, and then I want you to come back and we're going to work on the mind map. So if you pause your camera, or you can actually leave and then come back and you can have a look at the clip. Okay, off you go and view the clip. If you have any questions, or you just came in and you don't understand what you need to do, stay online and I can assist you. You can stay online, but you might want to maybe mute your camera as well. Might be a good thing to do. So turn your camera off. That's it. Then I know who's actually watching. Beautiful. Okay, I have resumed the recording. So for those of you that have been able to watch the video, and for those of you at home who have clicked on the link and had a look as well. So what I'd like you to do is, on your map, on your mind map, I'd like you to write down Pilar Bila and some of the points that you noticed that you heard her talking about. So she really did talk about having to strive to become better teachers, about being a lifelong learner. That was really important for her. And one of the things that I guess is something that's really important now is learning from our students. So, and she talked about getting insights into students' understandings and also their views, and that provided some illumination for her as a teacher. So I'd like you to, for those of you online now and those of you at home as well, this is a really important exercise because it's a bit of a practice for what you're going to need to do for your first assessment task, which Jen is going to break down for you in a bit more detail in not this week's seminar, but next week's seminar. So hopefully we have got everyone back. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to actually complete that now. So while you're here, I'm just going to give you a little bit of time to fill out that, and if you want to write any particular insights. And then what I want you to do is to go and watch the second stimulus. So this particular one is from a second stimulus. It's a performance coach, and he also writes for the Sydney Morning Herald as well, in the education page. So have a look, a listen to what he has to say, and then come back and we're going to have a little bit of a chat, and then also complete his section of the mind map as well. So what he has to say about teachers as learners. So I'll give you a moment now to watch that.
Ange, I've added he's got a sense of meaning and purpose now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent. So he thinks that learning gives you a sense of meaning and purpose.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Hi.
Sue? Yep.
Yes, hello. So quite similar to that one. He found something he was passionate about, and the teacher actually helped him to find something he was passionate about. But also not to ignore the social aspect of school, and social aspect in learning, in that learning environment as well, is really important.
Yeah. Yeah. So Dan, he said that it's really important that teachers as learners, they need to be adaptable to different contexts, as you said, and challenges. That's really important. So that social aspect, needing to use methods and philosophies that are really suited to those individual contexts. And one of the things that I'm sure you would have picked up on is the all-important growth mindset, Carol Dweck's growth mindset. So knowing that things can get better with ongoing learning and professional development. He also talked about empowering students through this collaboration, which I think is really important. And I guess that again goes back as to learning from our students as well. What about the third clip? So these were reflections from some QUT alumni, some beginning teachers, so they're first year out, and they had some reflections on teachers as learners. Who would like to share what they wrote down in their mind map about that? What about Tennille? Oh, sorry.
Nope,
Yep.
Tennille, go.
Go, Tennille.
I was actually just about to unmute. Self-reflection seems to be really important for beginning teachers, continually reflecting on strategies and things that may be working, things that may not be working so well, and sort of figuring out where you want to go from there, I guess, what you want to focus on for future.
Definitely. So continuous self-reflection and setting those learning and teaching goals. You're right, Tennille. That's really important. What did they say about professional development? Who would like to share? What about Suzanne? Would you like to share about what they were saying about professional development? I think you have an issue with your mic. All right, let's go on to Emma. Emma, would you like to share about what they were saying about professional development?
They're talking a lot about, as you were saying, setting learning goals, and then I think potentially coming back to those and seeing how far you've come in that development, and if there is any way you can further improve, or if you still need to
Definitely, yeah,
improve from that. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's really important. So attending ongoing professional development it's actually become a professional requirement of teachers now. And, you know, that self-evaluation and setting up goals, it's become the basis of teacher registration and your yearly teacher performance reviews, and also for career advancement. So I guess as teacher as learner, Pillar said it, I think, that it's all about lifelong learning. That's essentially, as teachers, what we really need to think about. I think that was one of, for me, that's the key understanding. Now, what we've got on the back page, you don't have to do this. This is just an exercise because in your assessment task 1, which hopefully you've all had a look at, you have to do 3 slides. The first one is to identify who you are. The second one is your mind map, or your drawing your representation of each of the teachers as learner, teacher as practitioner, etc. And on the final page, you would put your resources. So you would use APA. So that's something that, again, Jen will break down further in a later seminar. So this one is just to get an idea, and, you know, we're talking about teacher as learner, and also giving you a bit of understanding about what we're actually meaning by a drawing. So it's not necessarily a drawing. If I had to draw, it would probably be in the form of stick figures. But if you are incredibly creative and you would like to do a visual drawing, you're more than welcome to do that as well. So it's a bit of a create your own adventure, really. Okay, so we didn't break into buzz groups, but we have had a bit of a chat about that. We have considered how has the teacher as learner been represented. And I guess one of my questions is, how has it shaped the profession? And I did talk about that it's now self-evaluation. It's the basis for teacher registration and performance reviews. But is there anything else how you think teacher as learner might have shaped our profession? Anyone? Fraser? No? I guess one of the really important things that has become more and more common is that teachers are learning from students, and teacher as learner more and more now, this is something that has become more of a focus, learning from our students. So I guess thinking about this last provocation, is there any aspect of this representation of teacher as learners that you would like to reshape? So I think it's really important to remember that how teachers are perceived as learners. So how they are represented, it's constantly being reshaped and adapted according to new research and, of course, to policy developments as well. In the last 5 years, for example, professional learning has really shifted in schools from fairly random professional development with all teachers having to attend to teachers now being encouraged to drive their own professional learning. So it's something that we do very independently now. So this is based in gaps in their learning that teachers will actually work out through self-evaluation and the achievement of set goals. So this is really important, a very important aspect. So this could also be linked to career goals as well. And I said again as well, very important that we consider the student as well, learning from our students. So being able to make time to listen to students and to hear what they're saying, what they're wanting to contribute, giving them a voice, I think is important. And I think that was mentioned by one of the people that we're listening to, giving them a voice and making a deeper connection with them. I think something that we also need to focus on is giving them the opportunity to reflect on their learnings and understandings, to tell you what is and isn't clear to them. How might we do that with our students? How might we encourage them to share their understandings about what they can and, you know, how they're actually progressing with their learning? My son is very reluctant to turn to his teacher and ask questions if he's unsure about something. I need to give him, I say, you need to ask things like, I don't understand, can you explain it to me in a different way? But what can we do as teachers to encourage that? How can we learn from our students? Any ideas?
We could do like feedback forms, and
Yeah.
because some kids are too shy to ask, you could actually have direct questions on a feedback form, like what part of today's lesson did you not understand? What part of today's lesson did you enjoy the most? But particularly the what part didn't you understand? That might be quite insightful. And once they write it down, then you can actually engage them in conversation and ask them, okay, well, what can we do? And once you start to engage the student, then they usually open up.
Definitely. And they, you know, learn from each other as well, seeing that, okay, I didn't get in trouble for interrupting the teacher, or you know, the teacher was actually very willing to listen to me, that they are able to share their perspectives. So it's important that we develop, you know, we need to develop good observation skills as well, and really listen to what our students have to say. So the assessment task, that the first assessment task, it's going to be very similar to the process that you did today. So really breaking down the representations of each of these: teachers as learner, teacher as practitioner, teacher as professional, and teacher as change agent. And so I'm going to be talking about these individually in the seminar tomorrow morning. So you'll be able to look at the recording, or you'll be able to access that live through Echo. You just need to click on the link. So in your week 2 seminar, Jen is also going to pack this down further. So any questions? I've got a few details on the slide there about the assessment. So it will take the form of a basic digital vodcast. So this is a 3-slide PowerPoint with audio. So you would actually need to then choose one of the representations and explore that in more detail. So articulate your response to these representations. Any questions at all about it, about the assessment task, or possibly about the Blackboard site?
I've got a question. I've never actually, I finished school quite a while ago, so I haven't done a PowerPoint or anything.
Yeah.
Will you be able to give tips on how to do that? Or?
Yeah, definitely. If who am I speaking to?
Sharon.
Sharon, yeah, if you wanted to actually, I can email me and I can send you some links to how to develop one. And I'm sure if that's something that several students need that support, then Jen can provide that on Blackboard as well. No, it's a good question.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Sharon. Yep, we can provide that support for you. Anyone else?
So the assessment is due in, I think, a month's time.
At the end of week 5, yeah.
Week 5, yeah. So it's a very short turnaround. So should we be waiting to understand all these points before we start, or?
I think as each week proceeds, I would be, the task that we actually did tonight, I would be doing that for each one. So next week, teacher as practitioner, then teacher as professional, and teacher as change agent. And so you would be getting all of that together and developing your PowerPoint slides and really thinking about which one is most significant to you and what kind of response that you're going to present in terms of your audio recording. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyone else?
So, sorry, Sharon again. Should we basically gather information like what we've gathered tonight, for instance, as teacher, as learner, on each topic?
You will be looking at each topic, so you'll be looking for representations. It could be representations that we, in each week in class, we'll actually be going through different clips and representations for you to start building on your mind map if that's what you want to do. But you can also look for other representations as well that you would then reference in that final page as well, in the final slide on PowerPoint.
Okay, but as the final assessment, we just choose one, is that correct?
For the audio, you would choose one, but for example, if you're doing your mind map, you would have to look at each of those 4 representations. Week 5 is teacher as researcher, but we're not going to include that one, obviously, because you wouldn't really have enough time.
Okay. And there are 3 slides in all, is that right?
3 slides in the PowerPoint. So the slide with your details, identifying yourself on the task sheet, it actually says in detail what you need to do. And Jen, as I said, will break that down further as well. So this week is more about just giving you a bit of a general idea about what the expectations are, but the more detail will be provided next week.
Okay, great. Thank you.
That's okay. Any other questions?
No.
Sorry, it's Goto.
No? Yeah.
Sorry. Actually, I'm enrolled internally instead of externally. So I was wondering how we present this assessment. Is it by Zoom or?
No, it's a PowerPoint. So you would upload your PowerPoint to Blackboard. There'll be a portal there for you to upload it to. So it's a PowerPoint, a 3-slide PowerPoint.
But with audio?
Yes. So you would record the audio over the top of the PowerPoint. As I said before, I think if you do need support with that, then that's something that Jen can provide for you on the Blackboard side, a clip or some information step-by-step possibly about how to do that.
Okay, so this assessment for internal student or external student is just the same, right?
It's exactly the same, yeah.
Okay, it is not face-to-face.
No, it's not face-to-face.
Okay, get it, thanks.
That's okay. Anyone else who has a question? As the weeks progress, I guess, and you've had a really good look at the assessment task and Jen has unpacked it further, I'm sure you will have questions. But in terms of being external students, you are very, very welcome to email me with questions. So I can get back with you and answer those questions via email as they come to you. So I'm here to support you in using email as well. And at the end of our Zoom sessions, often students stay back and have a bit of a chat as well once we've stopped the recording and they feel a little bit more comfortable. So you're welcome to do that. And those of you who are listening from home, I'll stress as well that please do email me with any questions if you're not able to attend the Zooms. Very happy to help. Anything else?
Sorry, I saw somewhere written, I'm not sure, it said that in the learning forum, there will be an example of a visual representation. I was just wondering where exactly that is we'd find.
Okay, well, what we did today, what we actually did with Teacher as Learner, the visual map, that's actually an example of one part of it. So you would expand on that. So you'd have a mind map for Teacher as Learner, Teacher as Practitioner, Teacher as Professional, and Teacher as Change Agent. Then all of those representations, like we talked about Teacher as Learner, you would add them to your mind map until, so there would be 4 parts to it. And, you might find that they all link together in some way as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good question. Anyone else? No? Okay, so like I said, if you do have any further questions, please do not hesitate to email me. My email details, ay.edwards@qut.edu.au, and they're also available on the Blackboard site as well. We have each of the tutors' details there, so you can access that at any time. So I'm going to leave it open for a little while if anyone wants to ask any further questions. Anyone else at all? If not, that's pretty much it for the evening. First session, we're not taking up the full 2 hours. As I said earlier, it's a bit of a warm-up, but please don't hesitate to contact me. So I'm going to pause our recording now.